Mutipapafian, deacon and teacher for Matoka 3. Our printed text for our lesson is found in Hebrews 11, 1 through 8, and 13 through 16. I enjoy seeing movies in the theater. For me, there is something about being in there, the surround sound system that's in that place that helps to accentuate the music and the sounds. It brings you more into the movie. Well, I like the IMAX theater better. All I can say is a huge screen. Now, guess what comes along after that? And it blows my mind. It's seeing a movie on the IMAX screen in 3D. Have you been to a 3D movie before? You walk in and you've taken your seat and the movie started, but you can't really see and enjoy the movie because you're missing something. Well, if you had walked into the theater and failed to receive the 3D glasses offered to you, your view is blurry, or better yet, distorted. Regardless of what you do, no matter how you adjust, no matter where you sit in that theater, your view will not improve. You have to utilize the glasses that's provided to remove the distortion. You see, the glasses are your tool to see. So it is in the life of the believer. When we focus on the visible, the tangible, the physical things, our view is distorted and we fail to see clearly. We need to utilize our own tool, our very own glasses, and that tool is faith. So our lesson title this week is Meaning of Faith. Our memory verse is found in verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. If I can drive home a main theme this morning, for this very lesson, for this time that we spend together, it's simply this. Faith is to be lived out. See, the backdrop of this text reveals that the believers were being tempted to return to what they knew. These old traditions of works in relation to the law. They desired to go back into Judaism and the faith in Moses. But they are called to walk differently now. They were to walk by faith. Just as you and I are to do today, we are to walk by faith. But how can we walk if we don't know what faith is? So I ask you at this very moment, what is the meaning of faith? I'm not expecting you to answer me at this moment, but take the time, focus, and define it for yourself. What is the meaning of faith? Our lesson today inclines me to point out Hebrews 11 gives us the meaning of faith without trying to provide a definition. The lesson text reveals faith in two ways. As a depiction of faith, verses 1 through 3, and as a display of faith, verses 4 through 16. How faith works is so simple that even my mind can process it. And believe me, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. But here it is. We hear God through his word. You and I trust his word. And then we act on his word regardless of what is going on around us or what the outcome may be. We do it. We believe he will do what is right. And we believe he knows what's best for you and me. Warren Wiersbe said, the world fails to realize that faith is only as good as its object, and the object of our faith is God. Romans 8:25 in the New Living Translation says, but if we look forward to something we don't yet have, we must wait patiently and confidently. See, faith makes a difference in our lives. Verse 3 shows us that having faith is feasible. Faith allows us to see what others cannot see, to do what others cannot do, and enables us to do it through faith in God. Think of it this way. Faith is like one of your five senses. Which one, you asked? Oh, that was a rhetorical question because I know you guessed it already. It's the sense of seeing. Using your eyes to see this physical world. Well, faith gives us the ability to see the invisible. David Gusick preached, it is a willingness to trust in, to rely on, and to cling to. Another commenter said this, faith enables the believing soul to treat the future as present and the invisible as seen. Let me repeat that again. Faith enables the believing soul to treat the future as present and the invisible as seen. Not some, not a portion, not many, but all believers are called to live by faith. As we cover these last sections that I've coupled together, I'm asking you to remain on this journey with me through this lesson as we bring it to a close. This epistle presents a vivid picture of displaying faith. Not only do we receive a depiction of faith in verses 1 through 3, but we see a display of faith in these remaining verses. The writer highlights 4 elements of displaying faith through referencing persons who lived faith. He takes time in these sections of our text to mention Abel, Enoch, Noah, and Abraham. So can I take a minute just to dissect this? And I thank you and I appreciate your patience with me. I read that the 4 elements of faith are worshiping, walking, working, and waiting. I associate worshiping with Abel in Genesis 4:2-4, and how he obediently presented his gifts to God in faith. Well, then I connected the dots of walking with the example of Enoch in Genesis 5:22-24, and how his fellowship with God was reflected in his relationship with God. God didn't let him die, but he took him. And I'm going to digress for a moment and make this public service announcement found in verse 6. I'm going to try to use only 14 words to summarize it. Here it is. We must possess a desire to please God and a diligence to seek him. Then I paired working with the example of Noah in Genesis 6, verses 14-22. God spoke to him with the specific instructions, and Noah did what God instructed him to do, to build that ark. Finally, this area I struggle in myself, I linked waiting to the example of Abraham. You see, in Genesis 21, verses 1-5, Abraham waited on God to keep his promise of an heir from his own seed. But then he's asked to sacrifice his only son in Genesis 22, 6-13, and Abraham waited on God to show up and show out at the altar up on that mountain as he prepared to be obedient to God's will. I want to close out this lesson with something Dr. Tony Evans shared. Cement, in order to become concrete, must be mixed with sand and water. If bags of cement in a store are never stirred in with water, the cement will never become concrete. Water and sand must be married if you want to get something that is cementable. In order for God to make your life concrete, you're going to have to learn to mix it. You've got to take faith, mix it with works, and watch God lay concrete in your life. Have a blessed one.